Well, we got another project that we want to get started on here. It's nothing too big, and it's definitely not my idea. There's other things like this on the internet, but we want to build a snow pusher. We replaced the tracks on the skid steer, and we have 2 tracks sitting here. And I'm like, man, what are we going to do with these tracks? And we've gotten quite a bit of snow this year here at the farm. And we still got a bunch of snow sitting out there. So I thought, well, I've seen guys build snow pushers out of these tracks, and it looks very neat, especially because I got mostly gravel, and this is going to be mainly rubber that sits against the ground. So we're going to try to build one. So the only thing that I've had to buy so far is a plate for the front of a skid steer. Now, I have all this material sitting in my shop, and I save it, you know, from other projects. So that being said, this material was bought at another time, but I'm going to utilize what I have in the shop for the most part, except for the quick attach plate, which I'm buying off of Amazon, believe it or not, for 150 bucks. It's a 1/2-inch plate. Should be here Friday, hopefully. And that'll be the last thing that I weld on to get this thing working. But that's what we're gonna do here. So if you wanna stick around and watch this, feel free to. We're gonna do some cutting, we're gonna do some measuring, we're gonna do some welding, and we're gonna see if we can get these tracks on here to build a snow pusher. All right, got the fire going here. That should get this place warmed up. Okay, I'm going to show you a picture here that I drew. This is kind of going to be the top part of it. We are going to build this 8 foot wide because I don't want this to extend any part of my driveway when I'm doing that. Plus, we don't want to make it too heavy because I do want to use it on some of these tractors as well as the skid steer. So this is a pretty simple design. So we're just going to do 45-degree angles here. It'll be about 1 foot. We can leave the track overhang just a little bit, be just outside of 8 feet. That's if you hit any curbs, it'll actually bend away. And then we got some other steel over here that we can use to reinforce everything. But this steel right here, it's, I forget the exact size, but this will fit in these links right here perfectly. And then you'll basically just bolt the tracks on. But that'll help keep the tracks exactly where you want it the entire time. They won't slip off of there for any weird reason or bend your bolts up. So that's what we're gonna do. And it looks like I'm gonna have enough steel to do all this, which is nice. So I went ahead and measured everything out. So I think we're gonna go ahead and start getting some cuts made, get everything laid out, get things tacked up, and see what this thing's gonna look like. Okay, we got some pieces cut here, and we're gonna go ahead and start getting it welded. I got the Eastwood MIG welder fired up, and I got the settings where I want them, I think. We cleaned up the ends, so we're gonna go ahead and just tack weld things for now. I want to get this together and make sure these tracks are going to fit on there the way that I want before I start putting all the welds. We still got more metal to cut up, which we'll do that here in a little bit. Once we get the tracks apart, I'm going to pull the tracks outside and get them cut in half, which is extremely hard to do, I'm finding out. So once I get these tacked though, the way that I like, we'll look into that. Well, unfortunately, I set up 2 different time lapses, and for whatever reason, the phone didn't take it. So, you missed me cutting the metal up, and you missed me doing some welding. So let me turn this around and show you what I have so far, and what we're working on right now, and hopefully everything else records properly. Okay, so I got the main frame done here, and I've got everything welded up, and everything is where I want it. These 2 right here, the separation is 12 3/4 on center. Now that should allow me to put my 2 tracks together and those to fit in between those links. So right now what I'm gonna be working on is the 2 pieces of metal that go in the back that is actually gonna be welded to the skid steer quick adapter plate. And I gotta do a little bit of modification to it and do some special cuts because I want this to be at an angle just like what's already on my bucket over here. Let me show you. So right here, you can see that it's at an angle with this being flat. I'm gonna keep all that the same. That way I can put down pressure on the snow pusher if I need to. So that's what we're gonna set it up. And I'm gonna do that by making some indentation cuts in this steel that I have over here. All right, here's a piece that we cut. You can see we got a little notch there, and there's also an angle on that. Let me show you how I'm thinking this is going to work out. So we're going to stick it right in here. So come up just a little bit. All right, like that. This will come up just a hair right here, but I need to make one more of them, and that's actually what's going to get welded onto the quick attach plate. All right, those are tacked on. Everything's looking pretty good. Let's flip this back up here. Pretty happy with it so far. We got more we can still do, but got something going on at the church tonight, so we're gonna get to that, and we'll be back to this maybe tomorrow. So here's the track that came off the skid steer. I finally got it cut, took forever. I'm gonna try to use a bandsaw the next time. There's a lot of steel in that track. Anyways, super heavy. We're trying to figure out how we're gonna manipulate this in such a way that I can prepare my holes to be drilled. I could take some precise measurements, but it might take me longer to do that than to just try to put this on there. So we'll give her a try. All right, we finally got this cut to size. We went ahead and cut it. Man, that's really hard. These are so heavy. You almost need to leverage them to spread them apart to be able to cut them. Sawzall is what I ended up using, the bandsaw. The blade kept popping off, so we finally got it cut with some really good blades. Does make the job faster. I'm using a bunch of old blades. I got a bunch of blades coming in the mail, not here yet, that's all right. All right, let's get this on here.
Yep.
Okay, this is the bottom part of the pusher. The other track is going to be on the top, but I just made some marks. I'm going to have, what, 5 bolts? Is that what it was? 5 bolts holding this on there, and there'll be some bars across that. It'll be real nice and stout. And then we're going to transfer those marks onto this side, get all them drilled, get them ready for some bolts, and then we'll get that other one cut, put on here. All right, well, we finally got both tracks cut. I got some weight on either end. That way it can flatten out a little bit. Got some pilot holes drilled on this. So, and then I have accumulated some, what everyone usually calls junk over time, but this all thread should work perfectly to secure the tracks to the frame there. So that's what we're gonna start doing, is drilling all these holes that we need. And then I'm gonna put a coat of primer on. I might even go ahead and tack weld, or excuse me, weld these back in place because I feel pretty confident they're where I want them. And then all that leaves is the skid steer attachment plate, which should come today. So I'm just using some spare parts still from the barn to attach this down to the steel here. And you can see here I cut these down. So like these are metal. This is metal part of the tracks. So these are actually sit down, they're gonna pull that down tight. So I'm just tightening these up, cutting off the access, and that'll be that. And over time, these tracks will actually form down to that metal, and I may have to tighten these up a bit more. So we're gonna continue to go through here and do all 10 holes, get this bolted on. We might give it a try tonight. Here's an update video. Everything is forming just nicely. As you can see here, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screwed down. Now we got to do the sides. So 4 left. So I'm going to go ahead and cut me a few more bars and get that one ready. All right, we got it on there. Everything's looking pretty good. We're going to straighten them out. We may even cut a little more off. I like the way everything's looking. Okay, we're going to test it out. Oh, we've done most of our shoveling already, but we did get like another inch, maybe 2 inches on top of this that we've been driving over like crazy. So we're going to test this sucker out and see how well it does. I did a couple strips here last night, but it was too dark to actually film it. But here it is in the sunlight. Everything looks pretty good. This is an 8-foot snow pusher. We're going to see how well it does. I've seen these on the internet. In my mind, it's probably not going to work as good as a an actual snow pusher, snow box pusher, but this is better than nothing for the little snow that we get around here. One thing I want to mention too is this is gravel, so we don't, with a bucket on the front, we don't get it low enough to actually pick up the gravel. At least we try not to. At some point, I do want to try this on concrete, so maybe we'll get a little snow later this season and we can go try it up on the blacktop up at the church. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call that project complete. The Snow Pusher 4000, it is done. We have proven that it can push some snow. Whether it's better than anything else out there, I'll leave that up to you guys. I will be doing some more testing on this once we get more snow. I want to test this on concrete. It's more of my gravel driveway over by the house, stuff like that. But so far, we've pushed snow on some gravel, pushed it over on some grass. We were actually pushing some snow into that little pond, see if we can get it to fill up this winter. But yeah, if you like that video, like this, comment, and subscribe to us. Thanks.